Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 7 minutes after 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of that. We've got 3 more hours of what we hope to be Talk Radio Excellence on this Thursday edition. I mentioned that it is Thursday, my Friday. That means it is a pretend Friday for FriJay. We're going to get into that in just a moment after I make sure that everything is what it should be. You got... Are you on top of this, Jackson? Are you working it behind the scenes?
I'm working on it. He can't hear me, though.
He said he doesn't have anything right now. He says he can't hear us. If you've got his, do you have his cell?
Send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. So maybe you guys can work on this thing and get it figured out. We're working on FriJay. Maybe the system is just annoyed with us because we're trying to do FriJay on Thursday, and the powers that be doesn't care for that. I am airdropping this to you as we speak. So there you go. 615-737-9986. As we work that out, Jim had a thought about these scams that we were talking about during the first hour. Man, it's the holiday season, and these scammers come out of the woodwork during the holiday season, and they'll try anything to get into your wallet, get into your bank account. Jim, what do you got?
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, how are you?
Good. You know, I had a goofy story about the scam, but once you start talking about these Democratic leaders and how they address our military, you're making me change my subject.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when a Marine goes, when a young man goes to Marine Corps boot camp, within the first week, sometimes the first day, they are taught the definition of discipline, which is the instant, willing obedience to orders. And when you have these partisan Democratic leaders jump on there and address the young service member of the country directly and put doubt within their head that maybe something coming from their commanders or their staff NCOs is going to be an unlawful order, you are affecting the instant and the willing obedience to those orders, which is directly tying into the discipline of our armed forces. And by doing this nonsense, it's only going to hurt. And I'll tell you what, the ones that said that they were officers in the military, they would never stand for this. And they would say, if a politician said this while they were in command, they would jump to the forefront and say, this is a disgusting attempt to affect the discipline of my unit. And I tell you, and that's why I changed my story from the scam, Matt.
But listen, Jim, look, hold on. I want to ask you about the scammers, but I appreciate the passion that you bring to this tale. And it is an obvious intent, and they know what they're doing. They're throwing rocks and hiding their hands. They know exactly what they're doing. They're pretending like, what? We didn't say anything. We're just saying that if an illegal order happens, well, say what you mean. If you believe that what Donald Trump is doing with regard to Venezuela and the drug runners in Venezuela is illegal, then go to a court of law and challenge the executive, the commander-in-chief in a court of law that what he is doing is in violation of the law, and that's the proper way to do it. What you don't do is you don't try to sow the seeds of insurrection within the United States military, which is exactly their point.
Exactly. It's like the worm tongue of the Lord of the Rings character when the guy was speaking in the ear of the king, and he went, it's just this insinuation that something's coming that's wrong. You don't talk about lawful orders, usually in the time of war, making sure people follow the rules of engagement and they don't do something illegal to the laws of war. But to say, unlawful orders, that's just ridiculous.
Garbage.
I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps. We didn't talk about unlawful orders until I was in a combat situation. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, thank you for your service, Jim. Thank you for your telephone call. Anything on the scammers you want to add?
Just say a year or so ago, somebody called me and said he was an officer with CBP and that a package had been intercepted from Mexico with a box full of cocaine or something with my address on it. And if I didn't send a $1,000 fine, a warrant was going to be sent out for my arrest with the U.S. Marshals. He gave me his name and his badge number. And I said, well, let me go talk to my lawyer. I'll get back to you. And he says, you got till midnight, and a warrant will be issued. And so I Googled his name and number, and it came up as a CBP scam.
Oh, man.
So that's all you can do is Google. Google can save you sometimes.
Amen. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, do your homework, do your due diligence. Jim, thank you for the call. Jim, man, with the fire in that call today, absolutely love it. Jim also giving us the Lord of the Rings reference, which I would not have gotten had I not watched the entire trilogy recently. I watched it a little earlier this year and absolutely loved it, enjoyed it. It was great. I think I watched the Peter Jackson edition too, which was like 14 hours of my life in 3 movie episodes. But anyway, I know I get the reference that Jim was throwing down there, and it was a very good one. You're right. Yeah, they want to whisper into the ears of these folks, and they want to convince them they're doing the right thing. On the scam front, just know this, that, as 9583 has noted, and many of you have reached out to us, law enforcement is not going to notify you in advance of a criminal warrant ever, ever, ever. They're never going to give anyone the heads up that they're about to arrest them. Because when you get a heads up, you know what criminals do? They run. And law enforcement does not want you to run. Look, it embarrasses me to say I've been arrested twice in my life. Been put in jail twice in my life. And one of the times I was put in jail, I got a knock on I was briefly living with my grandparents. I had come back home to Augusta, outside of Augusta, Georgia, Thompson, Georgia, Thomson, no P in Thompson. Thank you. And I lived in North Augusta, South Carolina for a while. And then eventually the person that I was rooming with, they were selling their home. And so I had to move out of that place. And I moved back with my grandparents for like 4 or 5 months. Well, unbeknownst to me, I had written a bad check in South Carolina. And they were sending my bad check notice to the previous address, to the address on the check. That was in South Carolina. And I was across the way in Georgia. Well, they came and got me. And they took me away. And I had to deal with it. And it was very embarrassing. And I was in my early 20s. And I'm it's embarrassing to mention, but it happened. Point being is they come very early and they knock on your door and they take you away. They don't give you a call and they say, hey, if you don't pay us, we're going to come and arrest you. That's not the way that any of that works. That's not the way that any of that works. For some reason, we can't get our system to work. How are we doing over there, Jackson? We figuring it out? Not good? Yeah? So no
video for Jay today.
No video, but he's on the line?
He is on the line.
Give us the music anyway. Can we have the music at least? I'd feel better if we... Yeah. We did it this way for a long, long time. I suppose on this Thursday Pretend Friday, we can do it this way again. Whether we see him on video or just hear him on the radio, he is a breath of fresh air. He is a vision of loveliness. He is my best friend. He's the finest legal mind I know, and he's a good Tennessee man. He is Jay St. Clair. What's up, Jay?
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Man, if I were any better, we'd be bent over that craps table right now, hollering for a hard 10.
Financial investment seminar. That's what we call it. Financial investment. I've been telling folks we're going to a financial investment seminar and real estate development symposium.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, it's absolutely. Well, that makes it tax deductible.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Does the IRS listen to your show?
I hope so.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
These are the jokes, folks. It's a comedy show.
Back when I had my race car and I was racing full time, people said, well, do you have a sponsor? And I said, well, if I had to put on the side of the car who made it possible for me to do this, it would say the Internal Revenue Service.
Amen, brother. That's right. Well, lots to talk about, and I invite folks to get their calls in if you so desire at 615-737-9986, or get your questions in via the super text line at the same number, 615-737-9986. I asked you the question earlier, Jay, what you make of this law that was passed. I guess it's a law now, the Epstein Disclosure Act, I suppose it's called, that the House of Representatives passed it, and then the Senate passed it by unanimous consent, and Trump signed it. Give us the 100,000-foot view of this thing.
Well, I don't know what's going on. I understand pieces of it. I guess the piece of it I don't understand is why Trump did not want it to be disclosed. Because I think he campaigned on doing it.
He did.
And I don't know what changed his mind. The only thing, and he's never really articulated that clearly, But I think the only thing I can get from it is he did not want that to dominate the news.
Right.
He wants it to be positive news. You know how he is. And I'm certain that it's not that he's protecting himself. As we've talked about, Matt, trust me, if there were anything in there that would cause Trump the slightest embarrassment, we would have heard about it before the election. There's zero chance of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not protecting himself. I don't know, is he protecting some of his buddies? I don't think so, because the same thing there. If there were Republicans who have unflattering things about that in there, we would have already heard that.
You'd think.
So
yeah.
the piece of it that I can't understand is why he was objecting to producing it. But anyway, we're past that now, and we'll see. So far, it's a self goal. Is that the soccer term?
Own goal. I think
own goal.
Yeah,
okay.
own
so
goal.
It's an own goal, or hoisted on their own petard.
Oh, I love that one. I love that.
Yeah.
That's Shakespeare, Jay. I love that coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's been. So, and that's what I think it's going to be, man, because, look, the Democrats have had this for, at least 4 years. And if there was anything in there that would have hurt any of their political opponents, trust me, we would know chapter and verse. So, we'll see. It kind of reminds me, remember for years it was New York or somebody up there was trying to get Trump's tax returns. And
Yep.
I think it was Congress.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, eventually.
Big deal. And same kind of deal there, as I think about this more. Trump said, no, you can't, no. And every other president has always voluntarily produced them. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then finally there was a court case. He said, yeah, they can have it. And we never heard a peep.
Never heard about it again, because
it just disappeared.
And the reason, of course, was that the people that wanted to look at him so bad, because they knew that there was they knew there were shenanigans in there.
Right.
They looked at it, and it was a tax return, and he paid his taxes, and he gave to charity, and there was nothing to see, and so we never heard about it again.
Yeah, so I think it's going to play out kind of the same way. Trump fought, disclosure, fought, and then it got disclosed, and everybody says, oh, really? Okay, well, let's move on. And I think that's certainly what's going to happen with Trump, and I think it's going to happen with anyone close to Trump. So it'll be the odd stuff that comes out, like this congresswoman texting with Epstein
right
in the middle of a hearing. And I don't know, maybe there'll be some dignitaries, and there's some gummer over in England that may be in trouble about it with the royal family, and I don't know.
Well,
I don't think it's going to be earth-shattering.
I want we'll take a short time out with our man Jay St. Clair. If you have a question or a comment, 615-737-9986, any legal question whatsoever, you can get them in here via the super text line or on the phone lines, and we'll get to Jay. He's with us, FriJay, on Thursday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I will ask the question of Jay in a moment. What, if anything, can be redacted? Or does the law say anything about what can and cannot be included? And if there are redactions, what are the rules of the road when it comes to that? We'll get into that in just a moment. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Get your questions, get your thoughts in, get your comments in to our guy, Jay St. Clair, on this FriJay edition on Thursday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Several of you have thrown out questions on the Super Text line. You may do so. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. If you'd like to get your thoughts in, we appreciate that. All right, I'm going to... I guess are we still working on the back and forth? We're going to stick with the phone lines for now? Stick with the phone lines for now? Okay. Very good. Jay, we had to abandon Zoom and get back to the good old telephone, but luckily we have that backup option with us. And, Jay, I was going to ask real quick before we go to calls on the on other matters. So by my reading of it, it compels the Department of Justice to release this information within 30 days, to put it up on a website that is easily to access from the American public, and it gives them very little wiggle room in terms of not releasing information. Am I reading that correctly?
No, you said that right. The exceptions to it is anything, well, this could be pretty broad, is that anything that is classified. And, the government can certainly overclassify stuff. But the other specific ones are any info documents that contain personally identifying information of victims, right? And everybody gets that. Anything that depicts or contains child sexual abuse materials. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation.
Okay.
Or ongoing prosecution. And I think Joan Bondi has said she's unaware of anything that will apply there. Anything that depicts or contains images of death, physical abuse or injury of anybody. And then information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret. So, yeah, they built some wiggle room in there, but not a lot. I mean, Trump could, if it gives him the authority to issue an executive order saying this or that should be kept secret. But I think given the way the politics of this is shaking out, Matt, I don't anticipate it doing it.
Yeah, I said yesterday that from a political perspective, through that lens, I think if they try to shield some of this from the public at this point, I just think he recognizes he's too good at politics to not understand how that will blow back on him.
No, that's right. I mean, there's only reason that the wicked flee even when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
if you're
yeah.
going to try jury cases in the South, you got to be able to quote some scripture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot, but I know Proverbs 28:1. And there's only one reason that somebody tries to hide something, man, because they think it hurts them.
Right.
I mean, it's the only, or it hurts somebody they like.
Right.
Well, I mean, those are the first reasons that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like. And so, no, I think he's figured out which way the wind's blowing on this. And so I think there'll be a pretty full dump. I also think that it's not going to be what people think.
I agree. I think sadly the cake has been baked for most individuals in terms of what. So when people in their minds decide what they think is there, I use the phrase an absence of information leads to speculation, right?
Right.
And so I think people have decided what they think is in the file, what the Epstein files mean to them. If they don't see that at this point, they're going to decide that something else happened, that, they destroyed it during the Biden administration, or they hid stuff during the this or that. And we're sadly at that stage of these proceedings. But, I don't think there's going to be nearly as much inflammatory information in these files as people believe.
Right, I agree.
Jay St. Clair is with us. He is here for the better part of the hour. We're going to put him on hold. We're going to get back to Super Talk 99.7 WTN questions and comments. I got Thomas, I got Larry, I got Mike, I got CJ, I got another Mike, and I got a Gary, and I got a bunch of a bunch of questions on the Super Text line, and that's all coming up after news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jackson and I just had a great conversation off the air about what we're doing later on tonight. What'd you say you were doing?
Just hanging out.
I guess, see, I keep thinking it's the weekend for everybody because it's the weekend for me after today. So that's on me, Jackson. I apologize. I'm like, you're not doing anything special after the show? And you're like, no, I'm just got to work tomorrow. I'm like, oh, my bad. All right, lots of you wish to talk to our guy, Jay St. Clair. He is our legal correspondent. He's my best friend, and he is on the line with us to answer your questions and your concerns. Thomas, you are first up with Jay St. Clair. Thomas, what do you got?
Oh, hi, Mike. Hey, Jay. How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, I'm a Marine, man, and I appreciate you covering all this crap that's going on because somebody needs to go to jail over that stuff. But anyway, I have my 2023 tax return never got filed, and I had an independent tax person. She passed away before she finished her taxes, preparing taxes, and her daughter and her aunt tried to take over and do the same thing. And they sent me the picture, had the IRS logo, my return amount, and all that. And then for some reason, it never went through. Her aunt claimed she sent me a text saying I owed them like $329 for the return. which the woman that did the return the previous year let me pay when the return came in.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, they won't finish the return for me, and they won't send me my information back. So is there anything I can do about that to make them file my taxes?
Yeah, so the return is not...
Uh-oh. You there, Thomas?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jay, we lost you for a second. Just say that again, Jay.
Yeah, so the return has not been filed, Thomas?
No, sir.
Have you filed for 2024?
Yes, sir, I did. I did that with H&R Block.
Do you have the information with which so that you could file the 2023 return?
I do, but I'm missing a couple of the statements. I can't find the. I can get the information, the health insurance form, and the mortgage information and all that.
Right.
So, and I can get all that information, but these.
I think the best thing to do is to just get the information, file a return yourself, Thomas.
I started that process with H&R Block. So this woman was going to get me a return of $2,093,
Right.
and I went to H&R Block to file it, and they're saying I'm going to owe over $5,000,
Wow.
and I don't understand where the disconnect is there.
Well, these people sound real shady to me. But I just think what the best thing to do is for you to get as much of the information as you can and file the return, either yourself or do it through H&R Block, and then you can try to square up with these people. But okay. I certainly wouldn't pay them.
I haven't paid them anything because they never filed my returns.
Absolutely.
They said they did the work, but they didn't do it. So
no,
but they did.
And they're saying they're basically holding your return hostage. They're saying we got it all ready to file, but we aren't going to file it until you send us $350 or whatever.
Right.
I wouldn't send them that money.
Well, they won't even respond to my text or calls now. She won't even.
Right.
I've tried to contact her like 3 times, and she won't respond at all. So
that's right. So the only thing, the way to get after them is you could sue them. And it only takes 2 things, Thomas, $140.
I know, a crown, $149.
And this is a perfect situation for that, because they don't like getting sued, and they're not going to come in there to fight over $350. You could sue them,
if I just tell them I'm going to hire a lawyer and sue you, is that worth even trying to make them? Because the difference is I was going to get back $2,000, and now I'm going to owe $5,000. So whatever they did, I'd like them to. She was a nonprofit tax preparer, so.
Yep. Well, my advice to you is I'd get as much of the information as you can and file a return based on the information you have. Either you file or go through H&R and file it. And then if you want to go back against these people, I would get yourself a crayon, write out a lawsuit against them, and $140. What county are you in?
Rutherford County.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's my father was born in Murfreesboro, so I know that place well. And the court there will be easy to deal with, and you can do that. But in the meantime, I'd file a return because if sooner or later the IRS is going to come looking for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. They already told me that. Well, one of the H&R Block people told me I had 3 years. But the other H&R Block informed me that was if you were going to amend it, and it never got filed, so you're not in that category.
No, you're out of time right now. They're going to be running interest on it. And just because they told you that you were going to get $2,000 back doesn't make that true, Thomas.
Oh, I understand. I didn't.
So
I just want to know if there was anything I could do legally about these.
$140 in a crayon, Thomas. Absolutely. That's the only way you're going to.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much, man.
Thank you, Thomas.
The show, Jay.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate your telephone call, Thomas. Mike is next up on FriJay. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Matt.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, quick thing for you, Matt. We're migrants from Utah about 6 years ago, and we love your your show.
Oh,
You're
you.
so refreshing, kind of being that outside view. But just wanted to mention that to you.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that very much.
Jay, my question is, my wife and I are hearing a lot of different information when it comes to trust versus inheritance.
Right.
And so our question is, in a trust, we've been told that there's no penalties or fees. And with inheritance, the inheritee will have to pay taxes and a bunch of fees. Is that correct consensus, or getting it incorrectly?
Yeah, so you're breaking up a little bit, but I think your question is, which is better for you, just going through a regular probate process or having a trust set up? And the main reason to have a trust set up, Mike, is to avoid probate. That's the main reason to do it. If you don't have a trust, if you just go through probate, you're not going to owe any taxes. Well, if you have more than $12 million in your estate, then you may have to pay some inheritance tax.
Yeah, okay, well, that's way beyond me.
If you've got $12 million in your estate, you don't need to be calling for free legal advice on the radio.
Yes, sir, I get that.
You need to hire Elon Musk's attorney.
No, we hear your show all the time, and we just thought, we would ask the question to get kind of another consensus on if we're getting the right information about having to pay back taxes and fees if it's inheritance versus a trust.
No. There won't be anything. Well, I mean, if you owe taxes, you got to pay it, right? I mean, either way, you got to pay your taxes. But the main difference is if you put everything in trust, it doesn't have to go through probate. And that's not really that big of an expense. It may be a few $1,000. It's really more of an inconvenience. But it's going to cost you probably $5,000 to set up a trust. So it's not the cost. I wouldn't do it for cost reasons because the cost of it's about the same. If you have a regular size estate. So am I answering your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and the reason we called and asked the question is because we do have a little bit of property and some land, and so we didn't, we just want to make sure that our inheritees are not going to be overwhelmed with cost.
No, they won't be overwhelmed with cost. The only cost will be just hiring a lawyer to take it through probate. And that's just not that expensive. Unless you've got a really complicated estate, that shouldn't be more than $5,000.
Gotcha.
Yep, and you're going to spend $5,000 to set up a trust. And see, once you put everything in trust, Mike, if it's an irrevocable trust, then you can't touch it. I mean, you can direct it and decide where it goes and decide who gets it when you die.
Right.
But then you got to put, you can be the trustee when you're living, but then once you are gone, then you have to pay a trustee. So there's some expenses on the trust side too.
I got it. So it sounds like I need to do a little bit more digging into the overall into it. It's just not based on probate charge or something in that matter.
No, that's right. Yeah, and again, the main reason is to avoid probate. And not the fees of probate, but just avoid the process. Some people don't want their stuff public. They just don't want the world to know how much they're worth, and so that's why it does that. Another reason is, let's say you've got a mixed family, that you each have children from prior marriages, and you want to make sure that all of the children take equally. Because, see, here's what happens. Let's say that you each have children from prior marriage, you get married, and you got wills that leave it equal to all the kids. Well, the first one that dies, the next one can, they inherit it all, the spouse. Well, the next one can cut out the other person's kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know because you are talking to the Brady Bunch over here.
Yeah, well, now that could be a valid reason to set it up in a trust, because the way you would set up your will normally is that the surviving spouse would take 100%. Let's say you die first, or you could go ahead and give it to your wife and your kids, But normally, whoever dies first gives it 100% to the other spouse, and then you just count on the other spouse not cutting your kids out. But, that's a leap of faith.
Mike, have we satisfied your question?
Oh, absolutely, Matt. And once again, we appreciate your show, and thank you for the time.
Well, of course. And
I
thank you.
appreciate your service.
Thank you for your service, Mike. We appreciate your call. One more before we have to take a quick time out. It's CJ. Hello, CJ.
Hey, Matt.
Hey,
Jay. I was just wondering Jay's opinion on. They're now saying, hey, we're going to release everything, but we may have to redact some files again on this Epstein mess because we have this big investigation going on in New York. You think that if they have this big investigation going on in New York, that they're scared of spooking whoever they're going to go after, one of these powerful pedophiles, and that's why they would have to redact information?
Well, the law doesn't allow them to withhold information if it would affect a current investigation. That's in the law. But there are pretty strict guardrails. It has to be very tightly done, and it can be challenged. I don't expect General Bondi to play any games with that. Because the political winds have changed on this, and I think Trump and all of his people have figured out the more they disclose, the better. And again, I don't think I know there's nothing in there that hurts Trump, and I don't think there's anything in there that hurts.
I agree with y'all on that because, we all know that, like you said, they'd have been screaming it from the mountaintops if they had anything on Trump,
Right.
And I'm with you on him possibly protecting, a buddy or something because he's so loyal. If it's gonna hurt somebody, I don't know that he's protecting a pedophile, but he might be protecting somebody who is just hanging around Epstein a little too much and scared it's gonna hurt him or something. But
right.
I think
CJ, I'm not. I fashion myself as being up on the news. I've not heard any indication from the White House since Trump signed this that they were planning on withholding anything.
Well, Bondi kept saying, within the law, we're within the law. We have an investigation going on in New York, and it sounded like they might still redact some. But that's the way I.
Well, from a political perspective, I would say this: Jay's the legal man, and he'll tell you what the law says, and I trust him as the day is long. But I would say politically, if they start doing that kind of nonsense, they're just going to prolong all of this, and it's going to make people in their camp very, very angry. That's my experience. So hopefully they don't do that, CJ. Thank you for the call. 52 after the hour. We'll try to squeeze one or two more in, if possible, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It would, I know we've got a lot of folks on the line, and it would be unfair to any of you to try to get in another question because I only have about a minute or so. So I apologize for that. We try to get to as many as we possibly can. Jump in early, though, because a lot of people absolutely adore FriJay, as I do. And sadly, we're just out of time. But I'll get to see my good friend and gambling buddy coming up tomorrow just after lunch, hopefully on a relatively dry piece of real estate, Jay. That's what I'm hoping, at least.
Yeah, and I'm not working tomorrow, Matt, so if you want to hold me over, I'd be happy to do it, but if you may have something else planned.
Well, no, I tell you, Jay, I'll tell you what. I will call an audible right now, and for those holding on the line, Danny and Gary and Glenda and Larry, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hold Jay over, and we'll do an extended FriJay on Thursday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yes! Everybody excited? So, Glenda, hang in there. Larry, you hang in there. Danny, you hang in there. Gary, you hang in there. And you hang in there as well. One more segment with our guy, Jay St. Clair, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN in celebration of Huckleberry Phineas, Tom T, Turkey the Third. We got some more FriJay coming on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, but that's only after Ken Weaver delivers the news that you need to know about. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and it's 5 o'clock.